Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in. Pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, interestingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025. This is live stream 1250. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And normally we will take a first look. Sometimes it's a board game unboxing. Most times, as I bite my tongue, most times we will be taking a first look at a role-playing game release, which is what we should be doing tonight. I shouldn't say should, shall be. That's right, because we're going to look at Trick and Treat from AAW Games. That's right, Adventure a Week Games. And it is a two-sided adventure booklet. It is for 5e D&D. We've got the Trick adventure on one side. We have the Treat adventure on the other. So we'll be taking a peek at that because it'll be some spooky fun. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then, of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. You have to be a subscriber for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. And if you check that box and you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is Semper Buffo. We've got Cthulhu with us, as we also have Kathy Evans and Testy Trekkie, as well as W Forge hanging out in chat already. Take a guess. We might have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D, one of our chat moderators, she of the glittery banhammer. She might be lurking in the shadows at the moment. So welcome aboard, everybody. I still have my con crud. It's just kind of settled into my sinuses. That's usually where I get hit with con crud. I don't have like upset tummies, anything like that. It's always sinuses, and it's like, blah. So you'll probably be able to tell by my voice that I still have not gotten over it yet. It's not terrible. It's just kind of a pain in the ass. That's all. That's all. And yes, Sarah D is with us tonight. Cthulhu said they got some good news. Their thyroid levels are normal and their CAT scan was clear. Nice. Very nice. I know all about thyroid. Taking the levothyroxine in such high doses where it's like, well, you know, here, okay, so here's something weird. We're not looking at a D&D release tonight, so we can kind of take our time. We can chat. Last night was kind of like, let's get through the news. Kind of, you know, random musings for just a moment or two. We do the brief intermission, and then boom, we're going to get into that. Welcome to the Hellfire Club, because they don't want people whining and complaining, you know, like they do. What kind of crap is this? I came here to see the unboxing. You know how those things go. But tonight, in fact, that's why we're looking at Trick and Treat, because it'll be a relatively quick first look. So that gives us time to kind of recap Gamehole Con a bit. Yeah, just You know how it is. It's casual around here. You know how those things go. Anyway, so I was taking the levothyroxine, and I would get just acid reflux, which I never had in the past, to the point where sometimes before I even ate, it'd be kind of like, ugh, ugh. Then I kind of had like, wasn't like a lump, but I almost felt like some sort of a blockage, which the doctor said, yeah, it's probably got to do with your thyroid. All of a sudden, it's gone. This is gone. Well, knock on wood. The acid reflux, I haven't had that in a while, and nothing has changed as far as the dosage on the medication. Weird. Tessie Trekkie says if AAW Games were in New Zealand, it'd be AAW. Kevin R. Smith is joining us in chat as well. So let's jump on into the news. Free League Publishing's got a bunch of news popping. This is one of the big items. There's another one that I won't share tomorrow because we're taking a look at the Vaesen starter set. I'm going to take a quick peek at that revised rule book. I don't like the double dip, but this is the bigger of the two news pieces because Free League Publishing has now begun taking pre-orders for the Alien, the role-playing game Evolved Edition core rulebook. Say that 5 times fast. I've got the latest. The year is 2183, a little more than 3 years since the destruction of the Hadley's Hope colony on LV-426, the disappearance of the USS Soluco, and the closing of the prison and lead works on Fiorina 161, the loss of the Suluco's Colonial Marine Unit, along with these Weyland-Yutani-sponsored outposts, and the implications of corporate foul play stemming from these incidents have created an air of distrust between the company and the United Americas. To add fuel to the fire, conflicts between the rival sectors of space have increased exponentially in the past 5 years. While unconfirmed, many believe that Hadley's Hope was a test site for one of Weyland-Yutani's bioweapons and that an enemy state sent a warship to nuke it from orbit. If only it were that simple. Others believe that the company is working with a rogue nation to assume control of the colonies on the frontier. The 2180s are a dangerous time to be alive. Alien, the role-playing game Evolved Edition, expands upon the beloved tabletop role-playing game experience and provides an updated and revised version that will feel both modern and fresh for rookie and veteran players. The expanded core rulebook includes new artwork, new content, and various new tools for players and game mothers alike. As I mentioned previously, I'm not a big fan of that term. GM, and I get it. I get where mother comes from. I understand. All fully compatible with previous releases and game material. Alien, the role-playing game Evolved Edition features a bold new look and feel to the core rulebook, with all new page layouts by Johan Noor, new interior maps and artwork, and stunning new core book cover by renowned artist Colm Geohagen. I'm sure I've completely botched the pronunciation there. There's a life path character generator, revised and expanded core rules for talents, stress and panic, and stealth, reworked combat rules for armor, ammo, grenades, stuns, and spaceships, new iconic weapons, items, ships, and locations from the hit film Alien Romulus, various new rules and tools in high demand from players, including zero gravity, miniatures play support, and expanded campaign play. The Tartarus sector campaign setting, plus Last Survivor, a robust solo mode designed by masters of the solo trade, Sean Tompkin and Matt Click. The 320-plus page hardcover core book is arriving in stores on November 18th. It will carry an MSRP of $57.99, or so I hear. If you pre-order right now from Free League, you will get the PDF immediately. Also available for pre-order, the starter set and the adventure campaign, which I believe is a boxed set. I am curious to see this. I know there was pushback about this new edition. A lot of people were saying, hey, this Alien the role-playing game hasn't been out that long to demand a second edition. I have heard through the grapevine from people who have play tested it that there are a lot of new rules to it that may not necessarily be a good thing. I don't know. Not positive. So Keith Lewis says, Wendland Yutani, fucking you over for a goddamn percentage. Well, at least that's what the abbreviations mean. Kevin R. Smith said they heard today that Asmodee is taking over all Middle-earth tabletop gaming. It'll be interesting to see what that does to Free League. So it's my understanding, and I have not looked into this. I just have, you already know, I'm under the weather. I had to gather all my strength. I had muster all my strength just to do tonight's show. If I can make it through, I'll make it through. Don't worry. But I did not explore this. But it used to be, now I don't know if it's still the same or not. It used to be that the board gaming, miniatures, things like that were completely separate from role-playing games. That if you had a license with the holding company that handles the Tolkien estate, as far as that goes, gaming goes, who I have also heard are just a disaster to work with. I have heard that from people who have worked with them. But I've always been told that it's two different things. So if you have the license for tabletop gaming, like for like board gaming, you do not necessarily have a license for role-playing games. Now, that may have changed. I don't know. But as we've already seen in the past, multiple companies have released board games for The Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit or Middle-earth all at the same time. So we have not seen anything previously where one company had essentially all rights to a certain gaming aspect, except for role-playing games. So we'll find out. We'll see what happens. But yes, my understanding, it's not an easy thing to get on board to do a Lord of the Rings game, nor is it a pleasant experience from what I've been told. Asmodee just bought something else. Oh, didn't they just buy a bunch of Cool Mini or Nots games? I thought they've picked up some of the, I mean, Simon is basically just fading away. But, because I think they, if I remember correctly, I think they lost $7 million last year. That's on top of $2 million in losses they already had. So I don't know. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Asmodee that just picked up a couple of the bigger IPs that Simon had. All right, moving right along. Next news piece. There's an interesting looking Kickstarter for an old school flavored adventure from creator Daniel Harila Carlsen. Hopefully I'm close on that name. Here's what I know about Duggan Throat's Divided. A dungeon on your doorstep. A scarlet mist spews out from the wounds and the crag under the old keep, spawning forth strange new life. Duggan Throat is ripping at the seams. The king's army is marching forward, and eldritch horrors impatiently await. Duggan Throat Divided is a complete dungeon on your doorstep for old school essentials and other traditional role-playing games. Designed to take adventurers from level 1 to 4, it's a love letter to weird fiction fantasy books of the 1980s and the classic age of dungeon crawling. Duggenthroat Keep is an ancient fortification on a craggy outlook, long abandoned by its founders and home to a motley collection of grave robbers, thieves, wild beasts, lunar cultists, and all other manner of surly malcontents. 3 days ago, it was split in two by a tremendous bolt of pink lightning originating in the deepest recesses of the inner keep. Now the roguish residents of the outer keep are thoroughly spooked. Whispers of strange creatures and unnatural happenings abound, all centered around the strange mist that seeps from the crack where the twin keeps once connected. It's probably nothing. But if that's true, why is the king scrambling to amass an army to march on Duggenthroat? There is a short Kickstarter video. It's about a minute. So let's give it a peek. The Kickstarter project is fully funded. You can reserve a copy of the 130 plus page Duggenthroat Divided A5 sized hardcover with PDF for a pledge of approximately $34. If you want to score just the PDF, you can do so for a pledge of approximately $14 through November 6th. Expected fulfillment on both is next August. I gotta say, this caught my eye. I thought this looked kind of cool. I like the art style. Art style is kind of interesting there. It does have a bit of that 3D dungeon look like we see with some of the OSC adventures. Well, actually, as well as some Dungeon Crawl Classics adventures too. I thought that was kind of cool. Captain Infinity, Time Travel Police, and Daryl Arrett are with us tonight in chat. Welcome back. W. Fortune pointed out the bold new look is black text on a white background for the new edition of Alien, the role-playing game. Yes, and your eyes will thank you later. That's for sure. Moving right along. Posthuman Studios and Bundle of Holding have teamed for an Eclipse Phase 2nd Edition bundle, and I've got the deets on the deal. Adventurer. We've re-sleeved the July 2022 Eclipse Phase 2nd Edition bundle featuring the 2019 2nd edition of, anybody want to take a wild guess? That's right, Eclipse Phase, the tabletop science fiction role-playing game of transhuman survival from Posthuman Studios. After losing Earth in a war with AIs, transhumanity disperses throughout the solar system and beyond, struggling to survive. In a typical Eclipse Phase game, characters belong to Firewall, a secret cross-faction organization that protects transhumanity from biowar plagues, self-replicating nanoswarms, nuclear proliferation, terrorists with weapons of mass destruction, net-breaking computer attacks, rogue AIs, alien encounters, and anything else that could drive an already decimated transhumanity to extinction. Agents may even step through a Pandora gate, a wormhole to distant stars and the alien secrets beyond. The eclipse phase setting is expanding like a self-replicating nanoswarm into a new format, Scum. A glorious semi-cooperative Euro-style board game from Posthuman Studios co-owner Davidson Cole about defying oligarchs, resisting hypercorps, and stomping out rogue AIs and alien infestations. You're a scum, rabble-rousing, freedom-loving, hard-partying anarchists who live in the outer reaches of our solar system on a swarm of spaceships around a revitalized habitat known as Popping Wheelies. No joke, that's what I just read. Life is great out there. Rules are few, governments and corporations have no say, and your reputation is the only currency that matters. But recently, you've made a terrible discovery. A sinister conspiracy is in the works to obliterate your home and end the party for good. Manipulating your rep, commanding your AI muse, and calling in favors with the denizens of the scum swarm, you must uncover the mastermind behind the plot and hatch a crazy plan to defeat them before the multiplying threats unleashed on the swarm overwhelm it and force the unthinkable. Now, keep in mind, all of that was from the sell sheet info from Bundle of Holding about a Kickstarter that's currently going on for Scum. Why don't we get back to the role-playing game bundle? For just $17.95, you'll get all 14 titles in this revived offers Eclipse Collection, which has a retail value of $85 as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete Eclipse Phase 2E core book, plus the free quick start rules, rules primer, and character pack, 3 2E adventures, router case files, Xenovore, and Overrun, 4 Nano Ops 2-page mini scenarios, and newly added for this revival, 6 additional 2E nano supplements, including Binge, Divided Intentions, Hypercorp Heist, Firewall Scratch, Space Random Inventory, Motifs, Signature Transhuman Looks, and Unbodied. If you purchase this offer during its original July 2022 run, you also receive the newly added titles to your Wizard's Cabinet download page and in your linked drive-through RPG library. So always remember, when you buy a bundle of holding early, you never worry about missing titles which might be added later, even if that's much later. These savings are going to run through October 29th. Gotta say, I have never checked out Eclipse Phase, either first or second edition. For some reason, I always thought it was kind of a science fiction horror role-playing game. Maybe I was completely incorrect, because that is not how it's coming across. It does come across as kind of a grim, dark science fiction setting, but doesn't seem like it's real heavy on the horror. But pretty sweet deal. That's rocking and rolling. All right, Moonright Long, my friends over at Chaosium Inc. have launched a successful Kickstarter to reprint the first edition of Pendragon. Here's the scoop. The original game of quest, romance, and adventure returns. I have designed or co-designed 7 published role-playing games, 5 published board games, and 1 computer game, and as well as innumerable supplements, adventures, and scenarios. And without a doubt, King Arthur Pendragon is my favorite. I consider it my masterpiece. That was a quote from Greg Stafford. Enter a time of chivalry and honor. In 1985, King Arthur Pendragon charged out from the mind of Chaosium founder Greg Stafford and onto Game Store shelves across the world. In a time of dungeon crawls, leveling up, and sliding figures across a map, Pendragon stood apart from its fellow fantasy role-playing games. Not only did it bring the legends of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table to life, it also explored personality, roleplay, and character development in a way previously unseen in the RPG world. Now, 40 years later, the legacy of Stafford's creation can be fully felt in its influence across the industry. Chaosium invites you to experience again, or perhaps for the very first time, the original incarnation of this legendary game with Pendragon Classic, a recreation of the game as it existed 4 decades ago. King Arthur has provided me with tremendous satisfaction and entertainment for many years. Now I seek to share Arthur's work with you. Enter into the magic realm, let those dreams within you stir, come to life, and be tested. Once again, Greg Stafford. This project is over 900% funded. You can reserve a copy of the box set, which includes all the physical items which will be made available for a $99 pledge. Now that's going to include the 2-inch box, as well as the Book of Nobles, the first edition of the Grey Knights. We also have I don't think it's the Great Pendragon campaign yet. I think it's just the Pendragon campaign, which is excellent. It is worth the price of admission alone just to get into Pendragon. In fact, that's what everybody's waiting for with the latest edition of Pendragon. That's supposed to be the next release, the Great Pendragon campaign. Oh, yeah. Because you essentially can play out the entire Arthurian legend from Uther Pendragon all the way to Arthur's death. Because one thing, if you're not familiar with Pendragon, it is very generational. So campaigns can have, as a player, you can play various members of the same family generation to generation. It's pretty cool. Pendragon's an awesome role-playing game. Anyway, so if you want to get the physical items, you can do so for a $99 pledge. That's actually a pretty good deal. If you want to just grab PDFs, you can do so for a $49 pledge. This is through November 4th. The PDFs will be made available in December. The physical items will follow next October. Very nice. Good to see this. This is very cool. And there are differences between obviously enough, the original Pendragon and today's, I believe it is the 6th edition of Pendragon, which I have reviewed. I owned the original Pendragon, bought some of the splats that came out. I never ran it. Loved it. I thought it was so cool. Just didn't get to run it because it was like Call of Cthulhu all the time. Tessie Trekkie says Eclipse Phase can absolutely be run as horror. The Titan AIs are vast and human and twisted. The minds and bodies of those they captured into horrific forms and molds. Best case, nuke it from orbit. That's the answer to everything. W4 says, I like the term game shores. Being all sniffly isn't helping out with the reading comprehension. Well, I guess reading comprehension is fine. It's the actual speaking of the words. Sean O'Donnell's joined us. They've made it just in time for the show. Next up, our final news piece. The Wasteland Sagas role-playing game from the Polyhedral Knights is now on sale. I've got the skinny. Many chroniclers have speculated the world broke due to a string of atrocious events. Tales of nuclear bombs that went off because territories disliked one another. Stories of laboratory-engineered viruses and mutagens designed to destroy people. Mother Nature had enough of the parasites in consideration and exploitation, so she revolted against humanity. The world was undone. Mankind crawled out of the rubble and ruin, determined to persevere. It would be great to say people learned their lesson, but there will always be human nature. Knowledge of technology has been lost. There are remnants of ancient devices. So it does have mystery and value. The curious and enterprising sentients are rediscovering technologies and scientific theories, bastardizing them into something different and unique that works in their new world. A new image of the world is being built. These are the building blocks of Wasteland Sagas. Wasteland Sagas is filled with mutants, humans, androids, and other oddities. Options exist, such as mutations, bioware, cybernetics, android upgrades, and faults. Lots to choose from to create any type of character in this sci-fi wasteland. These are the inhabitants of the new world. This is the 6th game that's been produced by the Polyhedral Knights, and as usual, they aim to create something simple to learn and loads of fun. They designed a world that has enough information in it to get the game masters started and enough open space for them to create what they want in this blasted wasteland. The 118-page softcover with PDF is currently on sale over at DriveThruRPG for $27.99, or you can grab just the PDF for $14.99. Very nice. I like the artwork. Now, something I want to point out. The cover looks like it's AI because at Gamehole Con, I had an opportunity to talk with Mickey Barfield. And I had mentioned how the cover, I was going to share a news piece about it a while back. Or I was going to share a news piece from one of their other games a while back, and the cover just really looked AI. And he told me that this artwork, this is digital art. It was a digital artist. He bought the rights to use it. And then I guess later on down the line, they started using AI, and then he stopped using the artist. So if you are looking at that cover thinking, hey, I think that's AI, it is not. And as you can see, the artwork inside is line art. None of that is AI. And I got to say, you're going to get a much closer look at that because I have a copy of Wasteland Sagas. One of the goodies I scored at Gamehole Con, along with Pirates of a Shattered World. So these are both from the Polyhedral Knights. So probably November is when we'll dig into these, because October is all spooky stuff, scary stuff, Halloween kind of stuff. Next week, we might have an episode that doesn't have something Halloween related. I don't know if I've got enough. You know, I do if I wanted to stretch it out, but that I don't need to do. All right, so that is the news tonight. Of course, just mentioned DriveThruRPG. Don't forget the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, are affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit, say, I don't know, DriveThruRPG, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, Dungeon Masters Guild, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And it all goes a long way to helping keep the Gaming Gang websites around. Also, right now, there is a Halloween sale taking place. There are thousands of horror-related PDFs, up to 31% off right now through the end of the month. Of course, if you like the video, by all means, give it a quick thumbs up. If you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, there are a couple of other ways that you can help support the outlet. One, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. Hell, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. My God, I can't even taste it. My sinuses are so blown out. No, I did taste it. Or you can become a monthly member of our Patreon. And of course, you'll find links in the show notes for that. And of course, I always like to give a shout out to our Patreon members. So, big thank you to Gustavo Cavallo, my designer friend Herman Lutman, Jason Lawman, Caval, Kevin R. Smith, Max Apocalypse, Sean O'Donnell, Talzek, Dan Webb, Game Cat, Kevin King, Pete Straklich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, Tier 2 DM, Agile Monk, Flint Fireforge, and the Madman. Thank you kindly, everybody. It is much appreciated. All right. So we are going to dive on in. We're going to look at Trick and Treat from Adventure a Week Games in just a few moments. Did want to give you a little bit of a rundown of Gamehole Con. So it was funny. I talked to a lot of people. I was surprised how many people I ended up talking to. So I went Thursday because I had originally had a room for Wednesday night. And I was like, well, thought I was going by myself. So I was like, hell with that. I'll just drive up there Thursday morning. And then if you were watching last week, it turned out that my nephew Cameron was going to go with. So we met up there and went, checked out the exhibit area, which is relatively small. I mean, they had some big publishers there. They didn't have huge exhibit areas. Although I got to say, Chaosium Inc. had a pretty good sized booth. Not the size that they have at Gen Con, but still pretty decent size. So we had Splattered Ink Games, Gooey Cube. Gooey Cube also had a pretty decent sized area, as did Limitron, makers of Pirate Borg. And let's see, who else? Oh, of course, I talked to the fine folks. Well, I guess I would say Mickey over at the Polyhedral Knights. And then I talked to Erica, who I shared their Kickstarter for Ragnaborg over from Broken Brain Games. It is a Myrkbjörg Vikings game. I shared the news last night. So, yeah, we had a pretty good time. It was very relaxed, pretty much kicked back. It was the first time I actually ever went and done anything just my nephew and I. I realized that as I was driving up, I was like, wow. Every time I've hung out with Cameron, there's always like my brother or my sister-in-law or whatever. It's never been, I mean, there have been times where I would like watch my brother's house and the kids were there, but I mean, they were smaller kids, but I had never actually gone to do something, right? So it was a lot of fun. Played 3 games that I had not played before that I had brought with. So I brought with Ecosystem Sahara. I think it's Sahara. And that was very cool. And we also played Joyride from Rebellion Unplugged. Really enjoyed that. We didn't even get to the point where we were like blowing each other up. That was a lot of fun. And then we also played Caesar and Cleopatra from Cosmos. I think out of the 3 games, that was probably the one that Cameron liked the least because I whipped him pretty good with it. So that was kind of surprising. Usually when we bust out some new games, we'll usually enjoy 1 or 2. Then there's usually 1 or 2 that are kind of like, All 3 of them I liked quite a lot. So I will have reviews of those in the not too distant future. So Cameron went back home on Friday night. So Saturday, I figured, well, I'm going to stay Saturday because I had paid for the room for the night. And I was, it was like 100 and some bucks. I wasn't going to just blow that off. So I get down to the Alliant Energy Center. It's not a convention center, but it's what they call it. But it's kind of a small convention center. So I got down there about 11 a.m. and I thought, I'm probably not going to be here very long. I'm just, because I've kind of seen everything, right? I had talked to my friend Jess Carrier from Thunderworks Games, which I shared news about their big Kickstarter going on right now for 10 penny parks. So I chatted with her a little bit, and then everywhere I went, I was talking to people. And I mean, I do that normally, but I had thought, well, this is rather small, and there aren't a lot of exhibitors who, know me. But like I said, I talked to Mickey from the Polyhedral Knights for quite a bit. And then I went over by Gooey Cube because I've seen Gooey Cube before. And I've actually shared some news pieces, but I've never seen any of their stuff, like up close and personal. So I thought, hey, I'm going to find out about the company, right? So I walked up and I asked, is there anybody around that maybe I could chat with, right? And I was told this guy Lawrence was on a call, but he'd probably be back. He would be the guy to talk to. I'm like, okay. So Lawrence McNabb. So I came back a little while later and he was around, started talking, and I was asking him different questions and stuff because, I treat going to conventions, talking with publishers and that like it's a job, it's not all just screwing around, right? And I wanted to learn more about the company. So he said, well, I'm going to send you home with some boxes of stuff. And I had said, well, you don't have to do that. He said, oh, I know I don't. I said, well, that's not why I came over here. I said, I'm not one of these people. And if you follow the Gaming Gang, if you watch the videos, you already know I'm not one of these people. I don't walk up to exhibitors like, give me this. So he was like, no, he goes, that's why I'm going to give you all this stuff. So I'm going to show you what I got from, so you already saw I've got Wasteland Sagas, Pirates of the Shattered World. Those were from the Polyhedral Knights. Got a few other things, but you know what? I forgot to bring them downstairs. I already showed you this box when we did the news piece for the Gensicon Adventure Bundle Special Edition. This box probably weighs about 8, maybe 9 pounds. I also have the Darkest Dream. Little slimmer, but also quite hefty. The Mornwood Madness Bundle. Another big ass box. And then the shrink wrap's kind of off this, but it's also quite heavy. This is at least 11 pounds. The Darken Haven box set, I believe this is their main city for their setting. And of course, this is all designed for 5e. But of course, any 5e adjacent game, you're going to be able to utilize this stuff. I actually even discussed how easy it is to port their stuff over to other systems. And I was told rather easy because their stuff is very story driven, not extremely stat driven. So I was like, oh, okay. Or mechanically driven. So I was like, wow. Pretty wild. So we will be diving on into that in the not too distant future. I also got home and have all the November releases for Paizo. So we'll be doing the Paizo preview. I think they all hit stores on the 5th. So we might do the Paizo preview on November 4th, which should be a Tuesday. Probably do that. Also, of course, tomorrow we're going to be taking a look at the Vaesen starter set. And we're also going to take a peek at the revised rule book. We're not going to dive too deeply into the revised rule book. I also got Mythic Carpathia. So all three of these hit stores October 28th. I do believe there are review embargoes on them until the 28th. Just like I shared the news for the Alien Evolved Edition, I should have review copies of those goodies coming. They're going to be embargoed until release day, which is November 18th. So keep that in mind. I also have City of My Nightmares, which I thought was delayed for some reason. I think it's delayed to retail. So I don't think this is going to hit stores on the 28th. But we will be diving on in. I think we'll take a peek at this on one of next week's live shows. Remember, tomorrow, quick peek at this, more in-depth look at the starter set. So all in all, I had a good time going up to Gamehole Con. It's small. It's more of a playing convention. I did have an opportunity to talk with Tyler Stratton from Limithron. So if you haven't checked out that interview, I've got that video up. We talk about what's coming soon for Pirate Borg. Lots of goodies, including a starter set, which really kind of isn't a starter set. So if you already have the core rulebook for Pirate Borg and some of their releases, you'll probably want to pick it up because it's more an adventure campaign than anything else. So that looked really cool. So yeah, I had a good time. I had a good time when I went up there last year too, but because Cameron got to go for a couple of days and he told me he had a blast, and it seemed like he had a blast. It wasn't like, yeah, this was a lot of fun, Uncle Jeff. He seemed like he really was having a good time. So there is that. All righty. As I mentioned, we're going to dive on in. We're going to be taking a look at Trick and Treat from AAW Games, or AAW Games, in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
I'm Dumpy the Pumpkin, Carvel's Halloween ice cream cake. I weigh 44 ounces and serve 10 to 12 people.
Having a Halloween party? I'm Wiki the Witch, and I weigh 45 ounces. We're both made fresh daily at your participating Carvel ice cream store.
You want to send one to a friend? Please phone 800-327-GIFT and call the Cake Honors most major credit cards. Thank you.
Welcome to the world of terror. When I'm not busy embalming bodies, which isn't often, I like to relax with some good family reading. let me introduce you to my personal library of Fangoria, the leader in horror entertainment. What a fascinatingly hideous cover of Freddy Krueger. And devilishly candid reviews of the latest horror videos. And gloriously bloody color photos from the newest Friday the 13th. They're all here in Fangoria. Can I persuade you to subscribe?
This is Fango editor Tony Tupone asking you to enter the world of Fangoria. Only $12.49 for a special 6-month video subscription. Send check or money order to Fangoria Magazine, 475 Park Avenue South, New York, 10016.
Let the dead bodies wait.
That's your 4th cup of Wilkins instant coffee. Haven't you had enough?
I refuse to answer.
Why?
I'm taking the 5th.
This is the story of Dracula, a creature who destroys all whom he touches. Dracula the terrifying, the feared, who sleeps in the tombs of the dead by day and arises at night to inflict his terror upon the innocent and the unsuspecting.
Oh, you must help me. You must. You're my only hope. You must.
I'll help you. I promise.
Please try and understand. This is not Lucy, the sister you loved. It's only a shell, possessed and corrupted by the evil of Dracula.
How do you destroy a fiend who has so far proven himself indestructible? Those who come to end his reign of terror stay to become his victims.
Castle Dracula is somewhere here in Klausenberg. Will you tell me how I get there?
You ordered a meal, sir. As an innkeeper, it's my duty to serve you. When you've eaten, I ask you to go and leave us in peace.
This is the doctor who dares to challenge the vampire Dracula. This is the anguished man who fears for the lives of his beloved, the girl who is his sister, and the one that is his wife. Dracula, the bedeviled master of all that is evil.
As Kevin R. Smith pointed out in that Fangoria commercial, yes, it was the actor from Phantasm. I was originally going to include the trailer for Phantasm 2 in tonight's brief intermission and got flagged for copyright. Like, really? First Phantasm's fine. The follow-up, which I hear from people, is awful. No, can't use that. I was like, okay, all right. Just like I gotta say, the horror of Dracula, I think the only reason why that doesn't get flagged is because I guess in the UK it's considered to be Hammer. And in the US, it's considered to be Universal, I want to say. So I think that's why, because usually any sort of trailer for a Hammer film, right away, it's like, nope, can't use that. Nope, can't use that. So I took a shot and turned out, well, at least now I'm not getting any sort of copyright violation. It's not unusual to suddenly get one the next day. Anywho, tonight we are going to be diving on in and taking a peek at Trick and Treat from AAW Games. That's right. It is Adventure a Week Games. This softcover with PDF is available now. It's actually on sale for $16.66. This is a two-parter, a couple of standalone adventures, one on one side and another on the other side. So Keith McGrath is with us, as is, gosh, I can never figure it. N815E. It's like, I don't know what is, well, what is it supposed to represent? I'm terrible at like figuring those things out. Yes, boobs. Yeah, I remember that. 80085. Yeah. That's the kind of fun you could have with calculators. Yes. All right, so let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got trick and treat. We're actually going to take a look at the treat side first, because this is actually the front, and then this is the back. As you can see, it's got the skew there on the back. So before we dive on in, do want to mention my pals over at AAW Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. Of course, we are talking about a couple of adventures. So if your game master / dungeon master decides that they're going to pick this up, there's going to be some spoilers, even though I'm not going to look at each and every page of this. We're going to see some spoilers here. Dan Lowe is also with us in chat, so welcome. I also have a couple of maps, which we will take a look at. There's one map for each of these adventures. The maps were designed by AAW Games. I believe they were printed by Gale Force 9. So we will take a look at those once we look at each of the adventures. And these maps, I do believe, are made of vinyl. So let's take a peek. So here we've got our credits page. Let's give credit where credit is due. If you're curious about the cover artwork, it is from an artist known as Moon Patrol, both of those. So I am actually using the Cat Demon artwork for our thumbnail for tonight's show. And this one will be using the Haunted Graveyard, I believe is that map. So this is a Halloween adventure for 4 characters, level 1. If you're not overly familiar with AAW Games, they are probably best known for Rise of the Drow, which I reviewed the collector's edition. It is excellent. I want to say their Drow Borg has just launched, so I will probably be sharing a news piece about that tomorrow. They also had crowdfunded a follow-up to Rise of the Drow. I don't remember the name of it, but it also looks pretty cool. That is not out yet. But, of course, Adventure a Week is known for releasing a bunch of adventures. I don't know if they're still releasing one a week. I think that's why I kind of prefer being referred to as AAW Games. So, let's see. Where do we have? Well, I might as well read this section up here. This was supposed to be the best Halloween ever. You and your buddies have made cool costumes of your current role-playing game characters and went out for a simple night of trick-or-treating. Get in, grab the candy, and get out before darkness falls. When you went to the creepy old house on the hill, you found the mother lode, a bowl of king-size candy bars surrounded by stark, white, fake zombie hands, holding a sign that read, "Take one or else." But when one of you took more than a single candy bar, you damn dirty glutton, the hands around the candy bowl grabbed you. The shock made you black out. After regaining consciousness, you found yourself floating, yes, floating in a foggy graveyard in front of a stone mausoleum. The character has been transported to the Bone Collector's demiplane and stripped of their physical form, essentially becoming ghosts. Additionally, they now have the traits and capabilities of the role-playing game characters whose costumes they wore. The goal of this adventure is for the characters to recover their bodies and find a way home. It says the following ghost features are already included in the pre-generated characters. Following rules are provided here for your own convenience. Players prefer using their own characters. Hand them the Going Ghost handout. So they have resistance to various sorts of damage. They're immune to damage, different kinds of damage. They can fly. They can move through creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. There's all bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage dealt by weapons the characters wield is instead treated as force damage. It says each character except for one has a king-size candy bar of their choice that functions as a potion of healing. The remaining character has 2 candy bars. That dirty bastard. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for getting us involved in this. And is responsible for everyone being trapped in this demiplane. The player should immediately decide amongst themselves who did the deed. Alternatively, have every player roll a d20. Character with the highest result took 2 candy bars. So we have tricks and treats. So we got some random table here, d10. One man's bones or another man's treasure. The bone collectors periodically deposit new collections into the demiplane throughout the course of the adventure. Anytime the characters are in areas 1 through 5, the GM may have a portal open above them and harmlessly rain down bones and assorted objects on them. If they search through the bones, you're going to roll a d10. All right. Remember, I'm going to be skipping some pages here. So one of the set pieces is Marrow Me. A pair of skeletons in decaying wedding dresses are arranging leg bones in a glowing sunburst pattern at the bottom of the hill, while several other skeletons in decaying finery mill about them. And so they are preparing to wed. So it looks like they'll offer to return. Oh, so I guess the bones are the characters. The characters' bones, because remember, they're ghosts. So it says that if the characters will officiate the wedding, they'll give them bones back. Walona's Cave and Agile Monk are popping on in. And Keith McGrath is asking, is this 5e compatible? Yes, it is. It is 5e. Jealous Spirits. We've got the interior of the mausoleum. And then we have our conclusion. So there is the map that we're going to take a peek at. These are the Going Ghost handouts. And we've got our stat blocks. So that is for treat. And then we've got trick, which is going to be read this way. But before we do that, let's take a look at the haunted graveyard. As I mentioned, this is a vinyl map. So this is not paper or anything like that. Whoa, it's blank. Oh, pop's pretty nice. And it doesn't stink. I mean, there is there is a little smell, but of course, something like this, what I would recommend when you're storing it is every time you would use this. Now, of course, obviously enough, you could use this for skirmish miniatures too, just like a flip mat. But I would say to help this, maybe lay a little flatter, just one time, roll it up with the artwork facing out. Next time you roll it up, artwork facing in. And this is $30 for the vinyl mat. Too bad it's not like on the other side, just blank with a grid. That'd have been sweet. That'd have been very, very nice. I also have, as I mentioned, the other map for Trick. Once again, this is the Moon Patrol artist, and that is the Cat Demon. So once again, we've got our credits page for Trick. So this is for 4 characters, level 2. Cat out of hell. So I'm going to take a guess dealing with the Cat Demon in this. Halloween is the best time of year for children, young and old, to dress as their favorite characters and roam the town in search of tasty treats or mischievous fun. One group of friends decides to dress as their role-playing game characters for a night of real-world fun. Again, they just did this last year. The hour grows late, and the veil between worlds grows thinner. The group of friends stand before the one house on the block everyone tries to avoid, the one the old widower bought after it stood empty for years. The widower, a gaunt man named Gerhard Mauser, feeds all the stray cats of the neighborhood and has done that for as long as anyone can remember. The rail-thin Gerhard stands sobbing on the porch, calling out, "Whisper, here, kitty, kitty." The cat is almost as ancient as Gerhard, and the local legend has it he hand-raised her from birth, that she's his familiar. Whisper is the most beautiful tabby, according to Gerhard's crestfallen sobs. An indoor cat, Whisper was curiously unnerved all evening and ran outside. Cat vanished under the crawl space beneath the back porch and hasn't emerged since. Gerhard offers the party a free pick from their king-size candy bars now, and another one if the party can rescue Whisper from the dark crawl space beneath the porch. That's it? Some candy? Not getting like $5 each? Come on. So this could be used as a sequel to Treat. Okay, interesting. We already know the king-size candy bars work as potions of healing. So we got the crawl space, and it looks like there is a portal. Maybe it's a portal to hell. Yes, the horrible cat fiend, the Harila Catus, has abducted Whisper. Damn you, cat demon. Hoping to lure unwitting mortals to their doom while also satisfying its sadistic urges. In order to save Whisper, the party must vanquish the dread monstrosity in this place, its infernal lair. So we got some environmental factors. Got a few encounters. This one's a little bit shorter, I see. And there we've got the stat block for the cat demon. We got our open license info. And so this is, well, it's like we had 6 keyed areas. All right. So that is Trick, and that uses the, I think this is an Avernus. Yep, it's a Hellscape vinyl map. I'll give you an idea here. Something else at Gamehole Con that I got is Dynamaps. They're like modular rooms that you put together. So we'll be taking a peek at that in November as well. So I've got some of that. There you go. Pretty cool. It's kind of funny because like these areas here almost look like it's been rubbed off. And I shall roll this up like so. And this vinyl map is also, matte, I should say, is also $30. Keith is asking, is the vinyl map the same as the map in the book? Yes. I don't think we saw the map in that second adventure. So yeah, I'll show you. So first of all, they're showing it right there. Yep. Here we go. So that is it. That is the same map. So remember these poking out. So then we have key locations here. All right. So that is Trick and Treat from Adventure a Week Games, as well as the 2 vinyl mats that you can utilize with these adventures from Adventure a Week Games. Once again, this is on sale right now because of Halloween for $16.66. That also includes the PDF. All righty. Cool. Looks like those could be fun for an evening's entertainment. Speaking of an evening's entertainment, tomorrow night we are going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at the Vaesen starter set from Free League Publishing. We're also going to take a peek inside the revised rule book for Vaesen as well. I think artwork, everything else is all the same. So Keith said they dig the Treat artwork. Same artist, Moon Patrol. If you want to check out some of their artwork, really cool, actually. A lot of very cool digital art that they do. All right. That's it for this time out. If you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, bigger thank you. Give you a tip of the cap, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company as I'm talking about the news or flipping through a role-playing game book, unboxing, board game, what have you. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy life to watch any of the over 2,300 videos here on the channel. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. If you like the video, give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings right here on YouTube. Also let you know when I share other videos, such as my first look at Eldritch Gits from Broken Rat Games. If you haven't checked out that video, by all means, give it a peek. It is Cthulhu meets mobsters, 1920s, 1930s Chicago. It's kind of an interesting concept. It is rife with typos and bad grammar, but still, it's an interesting concept that is for certain. The they're not necessarily all mobsters, but they're all shady characters, and they're looking to use the mythos to benefit themselves. So they're not necessarily looking to battle the forces of Cthulhu. Kind of wild. Yes. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. I'm Jeff McAleer, and until I see you next time, I certainly hope every single one of you gets to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.